Well, clearly my move has not really happened yet because everything is still here. But luckily for me, I'm paying a lot of money for an empty apartment that I have spent probably 2 hours in the last week. They were a good 2 hours, don't get me wrong, but it makes a guy a little sick to think about the money he's paying for something he's not using. Hopefully this Saturday I'll be moved into my new apartment. This last week has been a little up and down for me, and I think a lot of the down has been from these big changes in my life. I mean, the biggest of which is I'm moving out and getting my first apartment. So while that's all fun and it's like freedom, there's like honestly there's a sense of like grief to it, or I mean it's not that big, but it's there because I'm leaving behind where I've called home forever. And a lot of people say, you can never really find home again, the same home you had when you were a kid. And on the one hand, I understand that. It's like you have to leave home. You can never go back to that totally safe, warm, loving place that you had maybe when you were a kid if you were fortunate. But I think at some point you can make anywhere home. And for me, I know that I've felt at home in places I didn't even live in, or places I was in for a very short time. But it's still like a little sad to be leaving. I'm leaving home, bye bye. That song is a little weird. What does the last verse mean? Waiting to keep the appointment she made, meeting a man from the motor trade. What is she interviewing for a job? Is it a date? It's at 9 a.m. Doesn't But then she's having fun. If you don't know the Beatles and what song I'm talking about, I'm making no sense right now. Did she become a lady of the night or of the morning in this case, and that's the appointment she's making? I don't know. But anyway, that's not what I'm doing. Yeah, so it's a little scary. I mean, it's exciting on the one hand, but scary and also sad. And the big thing is like I'm gonna be taking this bed. I'm getting a new bed cover though. You'll be happy to hear. And that just knowing that this is gone and I can't really come back to sleep here is kind of like a big shift once I do it. But I think it's necessary. I don't really want to have the option to come back and stay here. I mean, I do, but I don't. Do you know what I mean? So that's one thing where I'm kind of like up and down, and the other thing is I'm dating this girl who is, she's cool and attractive, but relationships apparently begin to make things rise to the surface, to these emotions bubble up like every time I'm dating someone, and clearly there's something I need to work out. And so I've been thinking about that a lot, and it's just too much information. I'm actually trying to find like a counselor that I can talk to so that I can just figure out what is my issue, what is my malfunction. If I were to like psychoanalyze myself right now on the spot, I think I just have a lot of insecurities don't that when I'm single, there's no reason for them to be there. But then all of a sudden when there's this other person, it's like, oh crap. And then I think also, to be quite honest, there's a lot of stuff where when I think in some ways I feel like I want to find someone who is going to like fix all my problems, and that's the thing that they say, don't do that when you're dating, don't do that. And it's like, yeah, I know not to do that. It's not like I want to do that. That's just, I can sort of tell that's the subconscious hope that I have. And then so when you start to get to know someone, a human being, you realize that they can't save you. And then you panic, and it's like, oh no, and no one's ever going to. That's why I need to work on it. I can't really explain it very well, but I feel like that's what it is. And then, lastly, it's sort of something that everyone deals with, is that you just don't like the new risk when you're getting involved with someone of it falling apart and getting heartbroken, you know? And once you've been in a few relationships and you've experienced heartbreak a few times, you're like, I really don't want to do that again. And if you're not careful, it gets to a point where you're trying to date someone, but you're like keeping one foot out of it. So as things start to crumble, or at the first sign of danger, you can just shoot out of there, or like protect yourself emotionally. But of course, that's like setting you up to fail from the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going into it so guarded because you're worried about breaking up, then you're just going to end up breaking up. And at the beginning of a relationship, everything always seems good. But from past experience that at some point, reality will come to you. And there's the fear of, am I seeing reality or am I not seeing reality right now? How much am I really clouded? How much am I wearing the rose-colored glasses? But I suppose, on one hand, I just want to throw caution to the wind. But on the other hand, I just want to be as emotionally safe as possible. And I don't know what the middle way is. I feel like I can do the middle way of that, still being open while being smart, but it's not easy. It could bend or it could break, but that's the risk that you take, as Chris Martin so well put it. I've got more to say about this, but why don't we take a quick commercial break?
Hey, I'm Two-Type Timmy, check me out. And I've discovered the meaning of life, and it's something I call the middle way. I came up with that. It's trademark now, the middle way by Two-Type Timmy. And I can teach it to you, just gotta sign up for my seminar. And the seminar is only $300 an hour. And I'm sure satisfaction guaranteed. And your life will be a lot better, at least until the next seminar that I have. So, sign up on my website, and I'm coming to a place near you, baby.
Thanks for sitting through that. The other thing that this has made me realize is that emotions are total BS. Or at least the emotions in terms of how they color your perception of reality. Because one day when you're feeling good, you see your situation and you're like, cool, this is great. And then the next day you start to feel depressed and you're like, everything's falling apart and I just want to withdraw from it and do something else. And so much of, I don't know, I mean, I'm not saying emotion is bad, but so much of it is a big lie in your brain. It's telling you the wrong things. Well, depending on what it is. Usually with me it's negative because I'm very neurotic, so my mind is always going to negative places, worst case scenarios, and and then I have mood swings, and the world seems like such a bleak place, even though at breakfast it seemed great, And it's weird because, I've experienced depression and anxiety for extended periods where everything seemed awful in my life, even though it's not, clearly. But then I've had the opposite too. I've had 2 times in my life where I had random euphoria for like days. And I don't know why it happened, and I wish I could figure out how to replicate it, but it just seemed like unprovoked. Just randomly one day, all of a sudden I felt like nothing was wrong. Everything was great. And I physically felt euphoric for days, and I don't know what was happening in my body. Did I have some kind of tumor growing in my brain that caused that? I mean, it went away a few days later, but the only thing I can think of is that I had a cold for a while, and I was pounding the Dayquil, and maybe there were these residual effects of the, how do you call it, dextropomorphin or pomorphin, the Dex. Maybe I was just had this like delayed high from that, or maybe it was so much Tylenol was in my system that it was like destroying my body, and as a side effect, I felt euphoric. So sometimes I'm tempted to just like pound Dayquil and see if it happens again. No, it's a bad idea. Don't do it. You will destroy your liver. It's weird though. Have any of you felt random euphoria? Like not just for a moment, but for days. And it makes you think that the thoughts that you get that are spurred by emotion they're a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury signifying nothing. As Kanye once said. It's like, how do I trust myself when I know that from one day to the next I can look at something two different ways? What kind of life am I living? Yeah, that's what's scary about being a human being, I guess, is that you never know if what you're seeing of reality is real. I mean, yeah, I see the water bottle. It's real, but in terms of interpreting situations and being an accurate judge of what is happening, how do you trust yourself when everything in your mind is pretty changeable and influenced by random changes in your body chemistry, I guess? I mean, just think about drugs and alcohol for a minute, and even the common drugs like caffeine, that it's altering your mind, and we say we're under the influence of this other thing. Yeah, sure, but it's still like your brain is working in a different way, and it's like, what am I trying to say? Even though that is still a substance affecting you, it's still your brain working, and it's still you seeing reality, but it's in a different way. I'm not advocating drug use, but it's interesting to think about, like, being sober and you have all these negative thoughts and fears and everything versus being under the influence of a couple beers where all of a sudden you feel more relaxed. Yeah, one is more natural than the other, but your brain, it's still your brain, and it's just being suppressed in different ways. It's really weird to think about. It's just your perception of everything is altered by either by external substances or by random processes in your body, or maybe not so random, because like if you go out and exercise really hard, then you can feel euphoric after that, and you feel relaxed and all that stuff. I need to like take charge of my emotions, realizing that they're so stupid and flighty. I need to establish myself as being the guy in charge. Like, the emotions shouldn't be dictating to me what I think. I should be able to say, okay, wow, this is not really reality that you're seeing right now, whether good or bad. It's like you need to be able to see what is affecting me and how can I like respect the emotion because it's coming from somewhere, but also not let it become the master. I'm not advocating stoicism or anything. Or maybe I am accidentally, but I think it's good. I think it's good to feel emotions fully because it's part of the human experience, but it's also like, don't let emotions drive you, I guess, you drive yourself, don't let the emotions like hijack you. You know, with Stoicism, if I recall correctly from when I was in college decades ago, the Stoics like to watch gladiator fights because it demonstrated when a gladiator died without showing emotion, that was like the ultimate Stoic ideal. It's kind of messed up. Whenever you think that our society is messed up, just think about the Romans. They were a little bit more messed up. That was a random fact. Random fact pulled from my memory. It may not even be accurate, but hey, we're all friends. We can be inaccurate all the time. I've never claimed to be accurate. That's never a word I've used to describe myself. So that's just my thought on emotion and where I am and the ups and downs, and realizing that when your emotions are taking you on a roller coaster ride, you can kind of give into it and just stay there. Especially if it's negative, you can just be like, oh, well, I feel depressed, everything's bad. Or you can be like, wait a second. Wait a freaking second. I am the person in charge here. And sometimes you can't break out of it, but sometimes you can take control. I mean, you know, I can't speak for everyone in every situation, but sometimes it's just a matter of, okay, I'm going to get up, walk around, breathe deeply, move a little bit, and maybe sometimes just moving around can change how you feel. Even sometimes, this is so dumb, sometimes when you're feeling down, just drink like a bunch of water and suddenly your mood will improve. And it's like, really, am I that susceptible? Am I that frail of a being that a moment ago I felt like it was the end of the world, and then I drank 16 ounces of water and now I feel normal again? It's scary when you realize the small little things that affect what you think is reality. It's not just affecting how you feel, it's affecting what you're perceiving. It's a scary thing to be human. All right, so I haven't done a Q&A in a while, mostly because I find Q&As weird, to be honest. But some of you have said you wanted one, so why don't we do one sometime in the future? If you want to ask me a question, just leave it in the comments section. Put like hashtag AskFJ, and either Sunday or Tuesday or next Friday, I'll answer some questions. And you can, ask whatever you want. I might not answer it, but ask whatever you want. Even if it's like you want some advice for something specific in your life and you don't mind posting it publicly and me answering it publicly. Or if you have a question about something I've said about Myers-Briggs or, INFJ stuff or whatever, or even if you just want to ask me a silly question like, what's my favorite ice cream flavor? Whatever, we'll do it all. Why not? So yeah, hashtag AskFJ. And then lastly, in my, what segment could this be? In the beauty hall segment of the show, I just got my order from C.O. Bigelow. I got some cool new soaps, and this is going to be the most riveting thing I've ever done. Let me just show off a couple things I got. Elixir Black Pepper Soap. Focus. This is what the beauty vloggers do. Oh, that's why they do it, because it goes into focus. I'm a little disappointed because it doesn't actually smell as much like black pepper as I wanted it to. I wanted it to smell like I was walking into a pepper factory. Didn't get there. And then this one is really good. This is focus. This is Bay Rum. This smells, man. If I wash myself with this and then walk down the street, women are going to be throwing themselves at me, and men too, probably. Yeah, so that's from C.O. Bigelow. If you want to pay too much for some soap, that's where you go. That's where I like to go. And then, if you're still watching, lastly, A Gentleman in Moscow, the book that I was supposed to talk about weeks ago. I still haven't finished it. I will finish it eventually. It might not be till December, but I'll get to it. And I appreciate your patience. And one day I'll get there. It might be, the year 2020. But whatever. Well, thanks so much for watching. Like it if you liked it. I'll see you back here. Maybe not Tuesday. Well, no, maybe not Sunday, but probably Tuesday. All right, take care. Stay cool and attractive.